It's been 32 years since the great comedy classic National Lampoon's Vacation came out, and today is the delayed anniversary where we get an official sequel to that movie. Now, since this movie has 4 directors, I was really expecting it to suck. I mean, it makes sense to only have 1 or 2 directors, but 4 directors, that's stretching it a bit too far in my book. But to my surprise, it wasn't as horrible as I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, it wasn't as awesome as I expected it to be either. The Griswolds are your typical dysfunctional American family with an obnoxious father who wants to drive his family 2,500 miles just to get to one of the greatest amusement parks in the country. And from there, chaos ensues, they lose their money, they end up robbing somebody dies, they almost wreck their car, and the whole shebang. But that is what everybody loved about the original film. This film, however, doesn't do anything different. It is the original film all over again, but this time for this generation. The son, Rusty Griswald, played by Ed Helms, is now an airline pilot and has a family of his own. His wife, Debbie, played by Christina Applegate, and their 2 sons, James and Kevin, who are played by Skylar Gassando and Steely Stebbins. Now, I have to admit that Ed Helms is kind of funny, but he was kind of freaky at the same time.
Because he has a face like this.
But as this movie went on, he wasn't as annoying as I expected him to be, and he did give me a few laughs. And he did have some heart in this film, so as Rusty Griswold, after all is said and done, he was alright. His wife Debbie was kind of interesting, but I just think that she is kind of a horrible mother. For example, their son James uses graphic language at first, and they tell him to watch his mouth, but later on they just thought, who cares? Now, I'm sorry, but if I were their parents, I would wash that little brat's mouth out with soap because I would never let them use that kind of language. Yeah, I know, it's supposed to be a dark comedy, but seriously, think logically here. And along the trip, they stopped by Rusty's sister and brother-in-law's ranch to visit. Audrey Griswold, played by Leslie Mann, and Stone Crandall, her husband, played by Chris Hemsworth. Now, for the actress Leslie Mann, I was never much of a fan of her when I first saw her in the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. In this movie, her role as Audrey was... As for the brother-in-law Stone, he got a couple laughs out of me. And that's the one moment in the film where the ladies will get turned on by. Now, half of the jokes in this movie made me laugh, but the other half just didn't hit that mark and just felt kind of forced. Like in one of the scenes when the raft man has just broken up with his fiancée, the joke might have worked, but it was stretched to the point where I was all, yeah, I know, we get it, he's heartbroken, get on with this. And my least favorite joke of all. The point in the states where Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico come together. 4 of the separate states' policemen try to capture Rusty and Debbie at the same time, but unfortunately they start duking it out. Childish humor showing them sticking guns in each other's mouths, and it just didn't feel funny. Yeah, some people might die laughing from that joke, but I'm not one of them. But the one joke in the film that really drew my attention and I can actually relate to was when Kevin finally stood up to his little brother James because he's been pushing him around too much. One reason why he had to suck it up on this trip was because he was trying to impress a girl he just met along the way. And besides that story, this scene just brought back such great memories of me and my brothers and dad wrestling on the ground together. That earns a compliment for this comedy. And of course, it wouldn't be a vacation movie without Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo as Clark and Ellen Griswold. Sadly, they're not in it for very long and didn't get a single laugh out of me, which is a bummer. And of course, you got the movie's hotspot, Wally World, which hasn't changed over the decades that much. So yeah, I wanted to love this movie. There was some heart and the humor, some of it probably works, but the rest of it just wasn't there. This summer comedy had potential and I was left disappointed in the end, but I tried to enjoy myself for what it was. Not to forget a brief appearance from actor Norman Radu as a truck driver, so that was kind of cool. Vacation, I will give a 6 out of 10. So what is the best movie you've seen this past summer? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, I'll catch you all on the flip side.